Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And man, this Puffy saga has opened up Pandora's box in the entertainment, fashion, music industry. And there is going to be a trickle-down effect as a result of this Sean Puffy Combs case. And guess what company got hit recently as of yesterday or Monday? The former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. And so what are some of the telltale signs here? Well, we have to look at that this case is being done again in New York City. Some of the toughest districts, U.S. Attorney's District's offices to win a case against the United States government is the Southern and Eastern District of New York. And as you know, they brought back the Survivors Act, which removed the statute of limitations on allegations such as sex trafficking, prostitution, and those things of that nature, which has opened up a flood full of cases that are being brought in the state of New York as a result of the Survivors Act. And there are going to be an inundation of the feds going after many people in the entertainment business, nonprofit organizations, corporate greed, and also the pandemic relief funds where people falsified statements to get money. The feds are going to be extremely busy indicting and arresting folks. The other thing I want to tell you, while we're looking at this Puffy case and then this Abercrombie and Fitch situation, this is how you know when your case is very serious and if the feds or the state wants you. Is based on your bond. And as you know, in the Puffy saga, he hasn't gotten a bond. He been offered $50 million, 10% would have been $5 million. They said no. They're detaining him. In this Abercrombie and Fitch case, where Mike Jeffries has been arrested, his bond was $10 million. So 10% would be $1 million. That's a very serious bond. And that's letting that individual know that they're serious. And also we know that when the feds take over a case versus a state, the feds win 98% of the time. So let's get into this situation with Abercrombie and Fitch that sounds very similar to the Sean Puffy Combs case. Former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO Mike Jeffries arrested in sex trafficking charges and interstate prostitution. The former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, Mike Jeffries, has been arrested on sex trafficking and interstate prostitution charges, prosecutors announced on Tuesday. Jeffries has been arrested in West Palm Beach, Florida. Two other associates, Matthew Smith of West Palm Beach and James Jacobson of Wisconsin, were also arrested in connection with the sex trafficking charges. Jeffries and Smith made their initial court appearance in Florida on Tuesday afternoon. They will be arraigned on a later date in the Eastern District of New York. So they got arrested, same way with Puffy. They made the home invasion, the feds and the other agencies. Homeland Security went after Puffy. We saw the visuals in Florida and California. There's been allegations that they did raid in New York, but you didn't see coverage of it. But they made the raids in Florida and California. But guess what? They're charging them in the Eastern District or the Southern District of New York. That's a tough place to win a case if you are the alleged perpetrator. Jeffries was a CEO of the popular clothing brand from 1992 to 2014. Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson each face a single count of sex trafficking as well as 15 counts of interstate P or prostitution tied to 15 alleged victims. A federal indictment alleges Jeffries, along with Smith, his romantic partner, and Jacobson, who was described as a recruiter, operated an international sex trafficking and P business from 2008 until 2015. It alleges that they organized sex events in England, France, Italy, Morocco, St. Bart's, and New York for Jeffries, Smith, and others. Seems like Homeland Security should be in on this one too, along with the Puffy case. And that's where I think the Puffy situation and the Homeland Security question comes into effect, that they are thinking or saying quietly that Puffy was doing this stuff internationally. Very similar to this, so follow this. They employ coercive, fraudulent, and deceptive tactics in connection with the recruitment, hiring, transportation, obtaining, maintaining, solicitation, and payment of the men to engage in commercial sex. The men who attended the events allegedly were led to believe that it could lead to modeling opportunities or help their careers, or that not complying with requests for certain acts during the sex events could harm their careers. The men were required to sign NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and to surrender their wallets and cell phones during the events. Very similar to what they said in the Puffy case. As a matter of fact, exact. Jeffries, Smith, and Jacobson also allegedly recruited, hired, and paid an exclusive set of household staff to facilitate and supervise the SX events. The staff provided Jeffries, Smith, and the men who attended provided them with alcohol, muscle relaxants known as poppers, lubricant, Viagra, and condoms, among other items. Either Jacobson or the staff paid the men for attending the SX events, the indictment says. Breon Peace, the U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of New York, said in a news conference that Jeffries and Smith spent millions on the sex trafficking enterprise, from paying staff, paying for travel, and paying to maintain secrecy. Attorney P said the operation used a referral system and an interview process during which the men that were allegedly preyed upon were not informed about the details of the SX events before attending. During those tryouts of potential candidates, Jacobson typically had candidates first engage in commercial SX acts with him, the indictment said. Now remember, Jacobson is the boyfriend of Jeffries, who was the CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. At the events, the men were pressured to drink and consume poppers, and on more than one occasion, when men did not or could not consent, Jeffries and Smith violated the bodily integrity of these men by subjecting them or continuing to subject them to invasive sex and violent contact by body parts and other objects, U.S. Attorney Peace said. Powerful individuals for too long have trafficked and abused for their own sexual pleasure young people with few resources in a dream of securing a successful career in fashion or entertainment, U.S. Attorney Peace said. He warned anyone who thinks that they can exploit or coerce by using the so-called casting couch system, that they should prepare to trade the couch for a bed in federal prison. Following their initial court appearance on Tuesday, Jeffries will be released on a $10 million bond with conditions, and Smith will remain in custody until his New York hearing. Prosecutors had requested Smith be detained pending trial, given that he is a UK citizen and poses a flight risk. U.S. Attorney Peace said his office became aware of the alleged crimes through media reports. The news of Jeffries, the ex-CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch, his arrest comes 1 year after the BBC News published an explosive report that said Jeffries exploited men at Essex parties he hosted. That report said 12 men described attending or organizing events that included Essex acts for Jeffries and his partner, Matthew Smith. And those events took place between 2009 to 2015. Some of the men who spoke to the BBC said they were exploited or didn't participate willingly. Jeffries' attorney, Brian Bieber, told NBC News at the time that Jeffries would not comment on the reports about his personal life. Abercrombie and Fitch said the company was appalled and disgusted by the allegations in the BBC report. Attorney Bieber told NBC News on Tuesday in response to the arrest, "We will respond in detail to the allegations after the indictment is unsealed and when appropriate, but plan to do so in the courthouse, not in the media." Shortly after that report, Abercrombie and Fitch and Jeffries were sued for allegedly turning a blind eye to Jeffries' alleged misconduct. That civil suit alleged he essayed numerous men after luring them with the promise of coveted modeling contracts, NBC reported. Today's arrests are monumental for the aspiring male models who were victimized by these individuals, attorney Brittany Henderson, who is representing victims from that class action lawsuit, said in a statement Tuesday. Their fight for justice does not end here, the statement said. We look forward to holding Abercrombie and Fitch liable for facilitating this terrible conduct and ensuring that this cannot happen again. When asked if the alleged Essex trafficking enterprise possibly continued after 2015, U.S. Attorney Peace said the investigation is ongoing and encouraged any victims or any witnesses to come forward. Wow. As I said, not throwing Puffy in this, but this allegation against Mr. Jeffries and Abercrombie and Fitch almost is a parallel to the Sean Puffy Combs case. But the other thing that's very interesting about this, and for once in a lifetime or in a story, these allegations of misconduct are against men and not women. Misconduct can happen to anyone. And this shows that the U.S. government, or the federal government, is playing on an even playing field where they are looking at abuse against women, against children, and against men. All of them are human beings, and they have U.S. constitutional rights. And so if these allegations are correct, I am happy to see that the U.S. government, federal government, is going after these kinds of predators that are not only taking advantage of women and children, but also men. That your gender or your race does not supersede you being a victim. And I think this is going to open up Pandora's box, and the entertainment business, people who are taking advantage and stealing from nonprofit organizations. There are a lot of stories where folks are getting in trouble for that. People that got PPE loans, the Pandemic Relief Fund, who submitted fraudulent invoices to garner those funds. The feds and the IRS are going to audit all of this stuff, and the feds are going to be busy 24 hours a day hauling these individuals into court, arresting them, and our federal penitentiaries are going to start to fill up. This is a very unfortunate case. This is a bombshell. There is a Netflix series that I saw a couple of years ago on Abercrombie and Fitch, from their success all the way down to their failure. And in that documentary, it exuded a heavy preponderance of over-sexualized young males and women, but primarily men, and it was sitting right there in your face. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but when I saw the Netflix doc series, I was like, wow. There was even a overshadowing on how they even hired their employees and what they had to look like. So there was a complete chasm of overly sexualized imagery, pressure, a youthful maintenance that had to be maintained, and of course, half naked models all the time. And don't forget, Calvin Klein had tons of commercials, print work and commercials where people were in their underwear in an overly sexualized situation. So it makes you wonder, was that entire fashion industry all about that? You know, you have Victoria's Secret, and of course we know that yes, there was a youthful overly sexualization that was taking place in our fashion industry, in our entertainment industry for actors and actresses. This has been going on forever. It makes you wonder, why is the federal government deciding now, after years of hubris and overly of high regards of sexual harassment to men and women in this entertainment business? It makes you wonder, because of the Survivors Act that they incorporated, that now the U.S. government is deciding to take a stance and put a stop to this, and they are charging folks for things they've done years ago that half of these people don't even remember what they've done, based on the drug use, the amount of the volume of misconduct and events and parties that have taken place. I'm sure Mike Jeffries, Sean Puffy Combs, they don't even know which brush fire to put out. It has been going on for so long, for so many years, and now it is a time for it to stop. Tell me what you think. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.